Okay, Shalom Bracha. Thank you, Rafi Pines, for helping us with this tutorial over here. Erev Sukkot, and even at this late hour, I felt, based on the suggestion of a few, that this might be helpful to provide an instructional video of how to bind one species. We'll try to do this quickly without the use of the Koishekel. Of course, there are those that prefer it. There are those that don't prefer the use of the Koishekel. I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with the use of the Koishekel. Just in a practical sense, some have, myself included, some have difficulty using that device, and therefore we have instead the rings that I'm going to show you the different ways to bind the manner to bind one species without use of Koishekel. These are regular. These I have an extra little over here. This really, by the way, is the finished product over here. Here you have my beautiful binding, which I did last night over here. I do 3 rings on the guf of the Lulav itself, as it seems from the Eli Rabbah brought by the Mishnah Berurah, and I do 2. Well, 1 fell off. I'll do it again. 2 to hold the Hadassah and Rabbahs to the Lulav. So what we're going to do now is first I'm going to be showing you the placement of the rings on the Lulav itself. All right, so I'm going to be making these lovely little, there's a regular leaf of a Lulav. Each leaf of a Lulav is double-sided, so I rip it in half, and then of one of the halves I rip that, and I take the green part over there, and I'm going to make 3 rings on the Lulav itself. Very uncomplicated, like it says in Halacha, to tie a kesher al gabi kesher, a kesher that's forbidden to do on Yom Tif. That seems to be the pashtus of the Shulchan Aruch. Again, different minhagim. This is my personal practice. And by the way, this is the training that I received from Ari Farkas Shlita. So here's the first one. Notice how I pull it very tightly, make another knot, have my handy dandy scissors to make that cut. There's your first ring. Boom. Boom. Number 2. So we'll do the same. By the way, things to be aware of. Number 1, there's a halacha that the shedre shel lulav, Rafi, has to be yotzei min hadas tefach. That means there should be a shedra, 1 tefach of shedra. Tefach is, I don't know the exact amount in centimeters. Make a loose fist. This particular lulav has a particularly long shedra. So I'm going to leave like a good, safe amount of space from where my hadassim end of shedra kedela naneba, which is an open gemara. Laman Beis and Beis. It's open Alach and Shulchan Aruch Tafresh Nun. Nobody argues to the best of my knowledge. And so both, when I make these knots, when I make my rings, or knots as you'll call them, I'm going to do it low enough that it's going to leave a comfortable amount tefach of shedra. As well, I'm going to bind the hadassah and aravas low enough that there'll be, again, 1 tefach of shedra, hayotze min hadas. So here I'm up to my second ring. Pull it very tightly. Interesting. You should know, the first time I tried this, everything, it was ripping, because it's been a year. Every year it's a year apart. But, I'm having siyat d'shmaya here. Ring number 2. And, I like to tie the rings on the center, towards the center of the lulav. I think that's what it's brought in the Minhagei Chabad, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll make one more ring over here to reach our total, the final total of, 3 rings on the lulav. Bada boom, bada boom. Usually these videos have background music, right? Like dun-dun-dun-dun. Could you provide that for us, Rafi? No? Okay. Lack of preparation, not your fault. Whoopsie. By the way, the knots I always have on the front of the lulav, that's what it seems to me should be, because it says kesher al gabi kesher. Questions, comments, yes? No? Okay. I usually have the kesher facing me, so when I'm shaking it, you see the knots are facing they're facing me, as opposed to on the other side. I made 1 knot, double knot, kesher al gabi kesher, bada boom. Handy dandy scissors. Ta-da! And now for the difficult part. I always get confused, my right and left. Of course, I have the hadassim on the right and the aravas on the left. How does it work? So it's going to be reversed on your side? Or you also see it that way? I'm sorry, not to talk. Huh? What do you see? You see, are the hadassim on the right
Yeah.
In that video? Okay, whatever, fine, okay. So here you have the hadasim. There's a halacha that the hadasim, the tips of the hadasim should be higher than the tips of the arabis. Presents somewhat of a challenge because naturally arabis are taller than the hadasim. That's where my handy dandy scissors comes in play. Now, you need 3 tvachim of hadas, that's 30 centimeters, which I believe is a foot, 12 inches. So I always leave myself plenty of room when I cut the arabis and on the place that I bind the hadas and arabis to the lulav itself. There you go. I got 12 centimeters, so I leave myself plenty of room. And here I'm going to cut my hadas into size so that it's more comfortable on the kesher in the aniva together with the other minim, so that the arabas are placed lower than the hadasim. And I'm going to do a little bit of a cutting over here. Boom. There we go. And now for the binding of the species. So I have 3 on the lulav. Again, I do 2 usually. 2 suffice for the binding of the species. And what I want to do is I want to do it again low enough down that I'm not, if I end up ripping any of the leaves, it's lower than 3 tvachim, approximately 30 centimeters. You do it, 30 centimeters is more than enough according to all shitas. It's more than 3 tvachim. I'm placing my arabis lower down than my hadasim. The reason, by the way, I think the Bir Grub brings is because it says in the Midrash that the hadasim are similar to the eyes, the arabis are similar to the lips. So just like on the body, the eyes are higher than the lips, so too on the lulav. We place the eyes, the hadasim, higher than the arabis. And there's your first kesher shel kayama, and another kesher al gabe kesher, binding these hadasim and arabis. Boom. Where's my handy dandy scissors? There we are. I want to cut those leaves. Although again, it wouldn't be a problem because it's lower than 3 tvachim. That was my first knot. And here comes my second knot. Oh wow. These are good leaves, by the way. I put them in the fridge, I think. So yeah, these are from the fridge. So maybe that's why they're so fresh. But either way, I would note that I'm not taking off you slip that, the Koishekel, they would slip it on and off. I don't understand the benefit. I'm going to leave this on until after Yom Tov, until I'm ready to change my arabas, maybe the 3rd day of Chol Hamoed, whatever it is. But I have no reason to be taking this aguda on and off at any point before the end of Yom Tov, or at least until Chol Hamoed, at least the 1st or 2nd day of Chol Hamoed. I just made 2 knots over there. I think it's very clear. And there I have, ready to shake. Beautiful aguda. Maybe I could even slide it up a little bit.
Should we do a little zoom in?
What's that?
Should we zoom in?
Yeah, please, if you could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 kesher al gabe kesher, 2 double knots on. Notice that the hadas and the tips are above the arabis. I have plenty of space, plenty of shedra, high above the hadasim on the right, arabis on the left. Hadasim are just a bit above the arabis. I can of course make my arabis a little lower. I don't care if I rip a leaf over there because it's lower than 3 tvachim, and I can even somewhat slightly adjust and move it up above high. If I want a high lulav, I can do so. And there you have your beautiful, ready to use aguda of your shloisha minim lulav hadas marabas. Thank you all for watching. I wish everyone a chag sameach and a shana tov mesukah.